sea to shining sea.
This is a CNN special report. America's New War. President Bush at ground zero of the attack on America, vowing to avenge the carnage.
I can hear you, the rest of the world hears you, and the people who knocked these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
Those who allegedly carried out the evil act are named, but more of them are said to be still among us, ready to wreak more havoc. New York City, still in search of thousands of its lost souls.
What happened over there? If anybody got out and if anyone made it, please call us.
I'm looking for my son, Sal. He left home that morning and he hasn't called back since then.
After not finding any news, we are very desperate.
A nation in mourning.
How do we understand something like this? Why does God allow evil like this to take place?
But amid the grief, determination.
This conflict was begun on the timing and terms of others. It will end in a way and at an hour of our choosing.
And a call from a man of the cloth for the fiercest retaliation.
But let's use the weapons we have, the weapons of mass destruction if need be, and destroy the enemy.
This is a CNN special report, America's New War. From New York, here's Aaron Brown.
Good evening again. Friday night of the longest week. After a wet and dreary day here in the city, the sun broke through late this afternoon. And tonight in New York, it is clear and cool, and the search and rescue teams are at work again under the lights. It has been a difficult day for them. Not only was the weather miserable most of the day, making their work even more dangerous than it has been, but they found no one alive today, no survivors, and the reality is time is running out. Here are the headlines in the story today. The Justice Department is confirming to CNN that they have now made their first arrests in connection with Tuesday's attacks. A person in custody is described only as a material witness. At the same time, officials tell us they think there still may be other terrorists in the country who could try to mount other attacks. President Bush visited the ruins at the World Trade Center this afternoon, offering encouragement and thanks to the search and rescue crews. There were a few more flights in and out of the nation's airports today, but still just a fraction of the normal volume. It is not moving well. Private planes, however, have been cleared to resume flying now, though they too are facing additional restrictions. And airport officials around the country warn it could be as late next week before commercial service in the United States is fully restored. Late next week. And 4 former presidents joined President Bush and hundreds of dignitaries at the National Cathedral today for a prayer service. It was a scene repeated at many churches and synagogues and mosques all across the country, indeed around the world, as millions observed what has been declared a day of prayer and remembrance. Among the stories we'll be bringing you over the next 2 hours, A Nation in Mourning. We'll speak with the Reverend Robert Schuller. How should a nation respond? How should this country respond militarily? We'll hear from a former NATO Supreme Commander, General Wesley Clark, and a former Army intelligence officer who advocates an all-out effort to kill those responsible in the search for diversions from this story for the weekend ahead. Here we go. On the day when the government raised the specter that the terrorist assault may not be over, that there may be more men out there, it was hard to find much to feel good or safe about today, but there was this, one of those moments that seemed to change the mood, if only for a while, here in New York. The president came to Ground Zero, President George W. Bush, to see the disaster area and boost the morale of those whose day had been so difficult with the rain and all the rest. He talked to them They answered.
I want you all to know that America today is on bended knee in prayer for the people whose lives were lost here, for the workers who work here, for the families who mourn. This nation stands with the good people of New York City and New Jersey and Connecticut as we mourn the loss of thousands of our citizens. I can hear you. I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knocked these buildings down will hear all of us soon. The nation sends its love
Harry, by pushing
and compassion
No, sorry.
to everybody who is here.
Cross the line on that one.
Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for making the nation proud. And may God bless America.
All right, let's get back a little bit, folks. Give him some room. Get back just a little bit. Well, he's got to get out somehow. Yeah, just let me know.
I suspect that'll be the picture on the front page of your newspaper tomorrow, the president waving the flag. It may be that the president got as much of a morale boost as the rescue teams. He was out among people again, out of the bubble that all presidents live in. It was a nice moment in an awful week and a difficult day. The president at Ground Zero. Here's an indication of how difficult the day has been. Reports that there may be more terrorists out there, and word tonight that the first arrest has been made in the terrorist attacks. So we begin in Washington, and our Justice Department correspondent, Kelly Arena, with the details. Kelly, good evening again.
Good evening, Aaron. That is right. The first arrest has been made in direct connection to Tuesday's terrorist attacks, that according to law enforcement officials. Now, an individual that was detained at JFK Airport in New York is in custody on a material witness warrant. Now, we don't have any more specifics at this point, but a material witness warrant is issued when it can be demonstrated that there is information that's highly relevant to a criminal investigation and when there is risk of flight. Law enforcement sources say to expect much more such arrests in coming days. Now, sources say that at least 2 people in custody have provided what they describe as very useful and helpful information in moving this investigation forward. The FBI says that it has issued 35 search warrants, hundreds of subpoenas. It has seized computers and other material, and it's following up thousands of leads both in the U.S. and abroad. Sources also say that there are currently 27 individuals in custody on immigration violations who may or may not know anything about the incidents. Investigators have also put out a so-called watch list informing various authorities, including Border Patrol and the FAA, about 150 individuals the FBI says may have information that could be helpful in the investigation. Now, if those people are found, they will be detained for questioning. Aaron?
Couple of quick questions here. One of these, I think, is just helping me understand different terms. How many people do we now believe are being detained? Do we know?
Well, we had a discussion about the word detained versus arrest, and we do know that there are 27 people are being detained by the INS for immigration violations. Now, INS says that you can use detained or arrested interchangeably. They're in custody. They're handcuffed. They're taken away.
And they can't go on their own. They can't walk away. Yeah.
Exactly. They can't walk away. And they are given 48 hours to file charges or not. Most of the time, there are charges filed, and then they can be held for months waiting to appear before a judge. So that's one scenario. And you also have some people that are being questioned, not being held on INS violations, but obviously we know this one person has been arrested, but there are several other people that are being questioned, and arrest warrants could be issued for them as well.
So just one more time, I apologize. You've got a group of people, but got a group of people being detained on immigration violations.
Exactly. These are people, right.
Right. You have a second group that are being questioned, and they are free to go if they want?
They are free to go if they want. They are free if they're...
Go ahead.
If there are no immigration violations, and the FBI really believes that they have information that is crucial to this investigation, then you get what you saw tonight, which is an arrest warrant based on material witness charges. So there are two ways to go for investigators here. They either can keep people at bay on immigration violations, or they can say this person is a material witness, here's what we've got to prove it, and keep them in the country that way.
And just to put a button on this, something you said earlier, which is that your sources are saying more to come.
That's right. More to come. They say that they're gathering information at a breakneck speed. We were told that at least 2 people that are in custody provided very useful information, and so we were told by law enforcement sources that yes, they expect in the next coming days we're going to see a lot of these people brought in, arrested as material witnesses.
Lots of work this weekend ahead for everybody. Kelly, thanks. Kelly Arena, working the Justice Department story. As we mentioned, officials are telling CNN that there is evidence that there may be more terrorists in the United States. CNN's national security correspondent David Ensor has been working on this story really all day long. David joins us again tonight. David, what do we got now?
Aaron, very little more than what you just said, but you said a lot. There are still terrorists in our midst. U.S. officials believe they may be planning additional attacks. That is something that I've heard repeatedly from more than one official. Officials say they can't rule out that there may be additional pilots in the United States, and they also believe there may be other types of threats. So that explains why there has been all this security jumpiness in the last 24, 48 hours, and why, for example, it might explain why Vice President Cheney, for example, has been moved to Camp David for a period of time, and so on. A number of security measures have been taken because there is a continued threat.
And it is understandable, I think we all get this, even as we may be frustrated on it, that even as you continue to work your sources, they are giving you small pieces of information. We certainly aren't getting the larger picture of what the government may know at this point.
Well, that's right, because the people I'm dealing with have to protect the sources and the methods that they use to collect the information, otherwise they will lose them. So they're very protective of them. That's
David, thanks. It's been a hard day's work out there trying to get even a sentence or two of information. We appreciate it. Thank you. David Ensor, national security correspondent. CNN has also learned that the Defense Department is looking into the possibility that 2 of the hijackers may, we underscore may, have received training at U.S. military schools. A senior defense official says 2 of the 19 names of suspected hijackers that were released today, well, more on that in a bit, by the Justice Department, do match the names of people who attended schools or courses under a widely used U.S. military exchange program. Those schools, the Defense Language Academy at Lackland Air Force Base in Texas and the Air War College in Montgomery, Alabama. However, Pentagon officials caution that the matching names could merely be coincidence. It's not entirely clear that the 19 names that have been turned up of the hijackers are in fact their real names. So the sources continue to work. The Justice Department continues to work. The Defense Department continues to work to figure out if in fact the people whose names showed up as a match are the same as the people who have shown up now on the hijacker list. The rest of today's developments in the investigation, there have been an awful lot. We mentioned the 19 names of the hijackers. There's more to that as well. Your CNN national correspondent, Mike Betcher.
4,000 special agents chasing 36,000 leads. and circulating to 18,000 law enforcement agencies a growing list of people they want to question.
The Federal Bureau of Investigation has also forwarded a list of more than 100 names to numerous law enforcement organizations. These are the names of individuals the FBI would